Hello everyone, this is Greyshot117
and Greyshot151.
and I am just watching stupidity at the moment as a bunch of Goliaths just charge headlong.
You said you needed my assistance in this video, and I thought, since you're doing the how-to series again, I was like, what does it need more of? Comedy. And this, I thought, was a great way.
Oh my god. Yeah, this is how I want to start off, with an army of Goliaths slowly charging my units.
To be fair, most of them are probably dead by now. Oh god.
Maybe a few of them are not.
I think it's going great.
If they get to my units.
They'll be fine.
If they get to my units.
I can't, bro, they're randomly gonna detonate. Like, they're not, you're gonna be fine.
Is that all of them?
I think.
Or is there gonna be more?
I don't, no.
Oh, there's more!
You know.
Because why the fuck not?
First off, calm yourself. But secondly, let's get into this video, shall we?
Yes, hello everyone, this is Greyshot117.
And Greyshot151 here.
And I'm going to be essentially doing a how-to Redux, where I'll be showing a how-to series based on the Soviets, but redoing it because of the updates that occurred since the last video, which aired, like, what, over a year ago? Over 2 years ago?
Yeah, essentially.
So in case, we're going to do the Soviet faction real quick.
And to make it more entertaining, you also wanted me to join, because apparently, while they were informative, the entertainment value was a 3 out of 10, so I'm here to crank it up to like a 4.5.
Yeah, so the Goliath stream is your entertainment.
To be fair, it is highly entertaining for me. Maybe not so for you.
Oh my god. God damn. Anyway, so if you start off the Soviets, one thing you should know is the Soviets is a very good allied, pretty much all-around tactics player. It's good for assaulting directly, it's good for supportive functions, it's good for defensive functions, but the thing that you should know is you need commanders for it. Otherwise, the default Soviet tactics are support function. I'll explain that a little bit later. When you get your headquarters building, you start off with 2 squads, or units, conscripts and engineers. With the engineers, respectively, you can I have the all mods on, by the way, and X resources, which is why I'm able to do this. It would be insane if I had like all the units up here, so that's why I kind of removed that as well. So, conscripts, they're your basic frontline infantry, and the good thing about them is they're probably the most helpful infantry in the game by means of supportive anti-infantry, anti-armor, just native stuff like the anti-tank grenades and the Molotov cocktails.
So you can have them upgrade with anti-fire grenades and the anti-tank grenades, which those have not changed. Anti-fire is good to get in the infantry, anti-tank, you can use them to basically homing missile armor units, but you can also upgrade the conscripts with different types of abilities depending on the commander you go. Here you can see a variety.
There's hit and run, hit the dirt, sorry, which is only like certain commander abilities. Ura's basic ability.
It's like charge.
With these as well, you can upgrade them depending on the commander. Again, commanders is like stuff I have right now, where you can have it to be PPSHs, which are great close range at killing infantry. One of the more common tactics, and then you have like the Doctrine that's anti-tank focused, and you can give them PTRS rifles. But basic conscripts without these are still pretty good infantry. And as you can see here, they can reinforce on the front line, something only conscripts can do. So overall, with the recent patches, they haven't changed these guys all that much, or the engineers, which is fine.
Again, you're going to be using conscripts basically for mass assault strikes. So Soviets best on the offensive, I would definitely say.
Yes.
They're good on defensive, I mean with the machine guns and anti-tank guns, but they're best on offense. And when you can press with conscripts especially and overwhelm, you might have, less quality units, but if you can get close range with those, those PPRS rifles with...
Soviets have numbers, essentially, on their side.
You get close, you should be set.
And the engineers, again, something I like is, again, something you have a lot of extra stuff that you don't need because all units are on. So this includes assets from the main campaign as well. But in any case, mines. The T-35 mine, these guys can set. Very good at stopping armor, infantry, etc.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
Even the demo charge they can set down.
Demo charge is devastating. Absolutely devastating.
Yeah. This engineer is pretty good. It doesn't have a lot of attack power unless you give them the flamethrower. The flamethrower will help them out, and I've seen a lot of people get the flamethrower because the flamethrower is super effective against MGs in buildings.
Yes.
Or it just basically
anything in buildings.
Yes. So you can use that; it will instantly kill the unit in the buildings. I'm not even joking. So a lot of people will push up with conscripts, flank with the flamethrowers, and take them out. That's what you mainly want to use them for.
Now the second note is you also have the ability for the mine detector and the essentially wire cutter, which basically allows essentially if someone has blocked off an area, you would like wire, or you want to make sure there's no mines if your tanks are charging. best way to do is upgrade them. Send the engineers in first with a little bit of infantry just to scout the terrain out, and then send your heavier stuff, like your better infantry and your better tanks and such things. And again, this is all in a matter of 10 seconds. This is not like a minute, you're scouting around. This is a few seconds ahead.
Yeah, and they also can lay down sandbags, so that's a good thing about conscripts. They have frontline cover. They're cheap, it's quick, but it's heavy cover.
Yes.
Other things that we have razor wire and tank traps, which is a doctrine ability.
For engineers.
Yes, those are for engineers, but they help lay the foundation to block stuff off. And that's the stuff that the harder removal package removes. But the thing is, it also removes mines. So if you notice your enemy using a lot of mines, I would always recommend deploying it, but I also recommend it doing beforehand, because the last thing you want is send an armored unit in, it gets hit by a mine, it gets crippled, and you could have just used a minesweeper to help make sure you're okay traversing enemy territory.
Agreed.
But anyway, the next building you can get, there's two options. You have the special rifle and the support campagna. So the special rifle is this. So you get the penal troops, which are great frontline infantry. Once again, they get upgraded with the flamethrowers, like the pioneers.
And these were definitely changed from the previous. They've gotten a buff. They are very good. Yes. I would highly recommend. If you notice a lot of OKW especially, I would definitely recommend this
Also, satchels are great for killing emplacements.
Oh my god.
Bunker span, this is great to counter.
Yep, just flank around, throw it, and you're set. But this car...
The scout car...
See, a little bit of a nerf, I would think. Like, just a smidge.
Not as good as it once was, but still pretty powerful if you can use it correctly.
And it's also best, again, you can put units inside of it. Yeah. Let's say, like, I highly recommend putting those units, the penal battalions, inside. Basically, it's a hit-and-run car with a flamethrower. People used to call these clown cars, and still do, to a sense. But essentially, you charge toward like a building, they'll burn the MG away, and then you're clear with your conscripts or other units to push up.
They're great for early rushes, but the thing is they lack armor, so if they have a mine, an anti-tank gun, you're screwed. Also, if they Panzerfausted.
Also, the other note is, if you do go this doctrine, the main fault of it is you are basically creating a better early game, but you're going to sacrifice, unless you go the support campagna, the AT guns and such, because if they have, let's say, an early game armor, then you really don't have a way to counter it unless you get a lucky satchel.
Yeah. Now, you also get snipers. Snipers are really good at countering enemy blobs. An enemy, especially German blobs, especially Wehrmacht. The reason is they have 4 men per squad. Snipers, especially these guys, girls, can take them out really easily. And this also is good for counteracting the enemy sniper, because all the other sniper teams have 1 sniper. These two have they're double. So let's say the enemy sniper hits one of them, there's still another one they'll fire back. That doesn't mean they'll kill twice as many units. They only kill 1 at the same amount of time the German does. But they can counteract that and still have the survivability, which is why they're great at counter-sniping.
Exactly.
Now, again, they lack any sort of AT, so that's the big thing about them. They just instantly run, because the enemy players will usually chase them down. Anyway, with this, the support weapons, you have the basic stuff. So you have a mortar team, which I think I forgot to bring out. Oops. Which is basically an 18mm, pretty good. You have the AT gun, which is probably one of the most versatile AT guns in the game.
Indeed.
Because not only do you get extra sight or camouflage with them, but also has artillery. And this artillery is great for killing like blobs or emplacements or something along those lines. And then you have the MG, which doesn't have the widest arc, but it has a good turn radius. So you can quickly turn these guys and face an incoming enemy blob quicker than an MG 34, 42, Vickers, etc.
The other note is, doesn't this also have, I mean, for what you get in the smaller, cone of fire, you do get a better, like a better gun?
They can't suppress a lot easier. Well, if they're not using armor, if the enemy team's using armor-piercing rounds, then it will be faster. But natively, this is pretty quick as well. Okay. I will say, though, I have their variations over here. So if you can see here, there's these 3 variations. You get all 3 of them via Doctrine. Now, I'm going to say this. While this AT gun is really good at killing armor, probably one of the best AT guns in the game, this AT gun sucks. I do not use this unit. There's no reason to use this unit.
The only time I would say you ever go that is if you go, let's say you're going penal battalion, and you need to get like an AT gun really quick. Like the Dushka,
it could work. It's so weak even against light armor.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's only 45mm.
Yeah, it's cheaper than this, but still, doesn't have the penetrating power, especially versus like Panzer IVs. If they rush, you're screwed.
Yeah, it's more like scout cars and such.
The Dushka has armor-piercing rounds, That's the thing I like about it. So I'm gonna tell it to attack the ground. Are they gonna give up? Okay, whatever. It has armor-piercing rounds, so it will destroy light armor and even hurt some medium armor stuff. Not immensely, but a little bit. But it'll kill any scout car that comes at you.
Now out of the three,
It's the best Soviet MG, and probably one of my favorite MGs because it's native armor-piercing rounds.
The last note, though, is
heavy
the
mortars.
120. The 120.
This thing is a souped-up version of the normal Soviet mortar, and it is powerful. Like, it is incredibly powerful and will devastate enemy blobs, enemy fortifications, etc. It has pretty good range, and it has explosive power. So you'll see a lot of enemy Soviet players spam this a lot.
So if you ever see, like, you're curious why the mortars are doing so much damage and you're fighting a Soviet, my guess, you can pretty much guess it's a 120, because these things pack a punch, and they do even damage to light armor.
Yeah.
They're probably my favorite mortar in the game.
Now, I do want to recommend that if you see any of these units or anything that we've gone over that is something that's not with a faction, you can try to narrow down what doctrine they have, and that's something very key to finding out, like, what the enemy's doing, because you don't know that you're never going to be told they have this doctrine. But if you have what units they're picking, let's say that 120, you can narrow down, like, okay, they're not going to have an IS-2
or a B4
or a B4. Yeah, exactly. Now these are other infantry units you can get from doctrines. Again, these are guards troops. I highly recommend if you go with the special rifle early, you get guards troops. These guys are natively AT rifles, and also if you can upgrade them to not only boost against infantry, but boost their effectiveness against armor. These guys destroy even like the heaviest of tanks. So very good to get. The thing is they lack short range capability. Shock troops don't close range abilities and annihilate pretty much all infantry in the game except for like commandos or Obersoldaten.
If you want a unit that will destroy pretty much any other unit in the game very quickly, the shock troop is your best bet. Close range.
Yeah.
It has good secondary abilities with the grenade.
This is not a thing though. I don't know why this is
Yeah, that's
here.
not a thing.
Yeah.
The grenade and the grenade and the smoke grenade are good, especially if you have enemies hiding behind a corner or you need to enter a place very quickly. Both are very good, and shock troops are probably the best thing to use when capturing, because no enemy in their right mind would send units to go to a capture point.
You need like 3 grenadiers to hold shock troops back. That's if you're in a good position.
If you're close range, you might as well just pray.
Fucking run. Just run.
A fire grenade, just anything you can. The best note would be actually against it, the infiltration grenade. I would say is probably the worst thing for a shock troop to handle, because if most people try to charge in close range, then you throw in the infiltration grenades and it'll just
shock grenades, or
yes,
that you can hold them back long enough to do some damage to hopefully make them retreat.
Yes,
but they're very expensive. That's the counterpoint. They're like almost they're 390, which is the most expensive infantry unit the Soviets have. So the Soviets, depending on what doctrine you have, can have a wide range of very powerful infantry. But again, these two units, while very powerful, do not come with the basic faction.
And overall, they are even the most powerful shock troops. And while they are good, they're not the most expensive in the game. And overall, you're going to see a lot. You're going to see your manpower probably higher than with other doctrines.
Armor is probably the best thing to fight this stuff as well.
Yes.
Like, not the guards troops. Guards troops will, like, as you can see here, will button your tank and actually stop it from moving. But shock troops have no AT capability. That's their weakness. You get a Panzer IV or a Brumbar, that should be easily able to counter this. Or any type of tank, honestly. Moving on. That's all the infantry. Next, we go into the light armor stuff that they can deploy, and I kind of fasten everything. Oh, look, it stopped. By the way, another thing you can do with armor is these repair stations. They are
doctrine specific.
Yeah, they're doctrine specific, but they're very good at just instantly healing.
If you are ever in, let's say, a 3v3 or 4v4 game, and you know you're gonna have a lot of armor. Have someone with this doctrine, because they will heal most of your units. You also get a very good tank, but they'll be able to heal most of your armored units very, very quickly.
Yep.
You have like 2 to 4 of these down, and even the heaviest of tanks that you have, like T-30-45s or ISUs, like anything big, IS-2 is going to get healed like so quickly, and you're going to be able to counter the enemy by bringing your armor back into the game faster than they can heal theirs.
I will say this, so there's manpower, munitions, and fuel. These cost, any type of special like this is munitions, or like upgraded infantry, or special grenades, stuff like that. Manpower is for actual men, and fuel is for getting armor. Now here's the thing, people always say, fuel is the most important thing. Fuel is the most important thing. That is true. Early game, fuel is very important for getting armor, But late game, munitions is key. Munitions for getting stuff like this helps turn the tide.
Many people argue that fuel is the note, but usually by that late of a game, if you're really so low on fuel, then that's not a good sign. Like, something else is worrying, because you should be doing well.
You should have your tanks online by then. If you keep losing tanks, there's something wrong. Now, of course, with the lighter stuff, we have this. So we have the pretty much the half track, and you can upgrade this with a quad, or you can house infantry inside. Now this,
as I was saying, the half track, essentially, if you don't have the quad guns in the back, then you can then use that to heal your infantry around you, and that's so very helpful.
Yeah. And now we have the T-70, great for scouting and killing light infantry. Do not send this up against tanks. It's mainly designed to fight off infantry. It's not a support tank. It's not support tank.
It could fight a Luke's. It could fight a scout car. It can't fight heavy armor. It's meant to fight light armor at max.
And now we have the Su-76, and that'll kind of equal out what you get with the first armor group. The Su-76 is a great tank destroyer, great for killing medium to light armor. In spam, it can fight heavier stuff, but the great thing about it really is the arty ability you get with it. That's something, it's a tank destroyer that, if used correctly, can be devastating against infantry. But again, you have to time this artillery ability correctly.
If you have a few of them, they're definitely, if you have like 2 or 3 arting a position, that's definitely very helpful. The other note is they did receive a buff, so they are much better. If you are wary about using them, they are far better than they used to be.
Yes. The T-34, great support tank.
Yeah.
Just good. I don't know why this is here.
It's a good tank. It's not the best tank, and if you are like facing a lot of anti-tank units, don't call this in. It's mainly for if you are able to rush for an early tank. Most of the enemy light armor is not going to be able to penetrate.
But the great thing is you could sacrifice the T-34, ram it into a bigger tank, and then use like the Su-76 or an Su-85 to snipe at long range and kill it.
Yes, but the upgraded version is definitely
T-34-85, and that has the Su-85's gun, but on a mobile tank. Has more armor, and again, Doctrine specific, but still very powerful, and probably can go toe-to-toe with even like a Panther. It can't necessarily win unless you support it, but luckily if you do have the supportive function, you can win. Now, the Su-85, great for sniping and placements long range. You get the extended sight, which will pop out this guy. The problem is it makes it harder to turn. So and with the gun,
also slows it down.
Yeah, and it slows it down. And with the barrel like this, you can't turn. It's hard to turn. So a Panther could easily flank it and knock you out if they do that.
Which isn't a problem, let's say, the T-34, T-34-85, because their turrets are mobile.
Yeah.
The Su-85, its turret's literally stuck in front of it, so it's immobile.
That's the issue, but it's very powerful. They did buff this considerably, so it is better against even the heaviest King Tiger or Elephant, stuff like that.
Now we have the oddball.
Yeah, the M4C Sherman. This is actually an allied unit, and the Sherman, of course, is a native American unit. But the thing is, with the Lend-Lease Doctrine, you actually get this unit. It's actually a really good tank. I would say considerably about on par with the T-34-85. You don't get the ram ability, but you do get some nice firepower out of it. And if in spam, it can be very deadly against enemy forces.
Oh yeah,
but
in spam it can definitely be very powerful.
Yeah, I think it's even more powerful than the normal Sherman. Yeah, it is. I've seen this thing like fight tigers. When it first released, it was incredibly strong. They have nerfed it, but it's still pretty powerful if used correctly. The KV-1, now we're getting the heavy tanks. And by the way, yes, that Katyusha has 3 stars. That's Veteran C, and it did that because it massacred my brother's forces.
I may have played a joke on my brother when we were setting up. And yeah.
But the KV-1 is great because it is a lot of good armor, and its gun is unfortunately the same as the T-34, but
the armor makes up for it.
The armor makes up for it. So if you ever have a situation where you're versing a lot of heavy infantry or Panzer IVs, medium stuff, this thing is the best thing to go because a lot of shots will bounce off its armor.
Not the best versing Panthers or King Tigers. It's not meant to fight heavier armor.
Yeah.
It's really meant just to out-armor a medium tank and just wear it down faster than it can wear you down. Or
soak up damage and allow an Su-85 to dish the damage.
Exactly.
Yeah. Katyusha, great artillery piece, probably one of the best artillery pieces in the game. It literally will fire arty, like in short bursts, but these short bursts, these rockets are incredibly powerful and can one-shot infantry squad easily.
It can also do a lot. It's a saturation ability, so while you do not have while you do have a constant, so infantry can move out of the way, the initial hits, and if they don't move out of the way, you catch someone off guard, is very powerful.
Yeah.
Enough to, let's say, kill 91 people in one barrage.
Great against infantry, emplacements, even buildings. terrible against armor.
Yes.
It can kill armor, but it has to be so low health.
It has to be lucky.
There's like a bulletin to increase penetration, but I have no idea why you would do that. Unless you're like, I want to make sure my Katyushas are great for killing behind the line infantry or some armor. Next we have the KV-8, another heavy tank, very similar to the KV-1, but the difference, Flamethrower. So this thing has a very long-range Flamethrower, along with a 45 millimeter gun you can switch to. That's okay against like light armor. But its main purpose is
like really like I'm talking scout car or like loops, not like even a Panzer IV.
Yeah, but you can see here the Flamethrower is designed to just murder infantry. This thing will burn infantry buildings to a...
It's really meant to use most infantry do not have capable AT, like a lot of AT. This is meant to basically come in and wreck infantry, especially
Panzer Grenadiers blobs or OKW blobs. This will burn into smithereens.
And its armor is meant to soak up even if there is AT damage. If you can't take a lot, but it can take a lot more than a T-34.
Another
and do a lot more damage.
Another Doctrine ability you get. The problem is everything we're going to go further is Doctrine special vehicles. So the problem with the Soviets I find is unless you go with Doctrine, with only having a T-34 and Su-85, they don't have the best offensive tanks. That's the drawback of the Soviets, unless you go with a Doctrine.
Agreed.
Yeah. So that is something you have to plan for if you're going with the Soviets. Do not plan to have an all-out assault force because you need Doctrine
specific. Unless you rush with T-34s, and even that's not even guaranteed.
Yeah, you can easily counter a rush. Now these are the three like big heavy tanks. You have the IS-2, which is devastating against infantry and really good, can go toe-to-toe with the Tiger. This thing has been buffed to make sure it can go up with a Tiger.
It's not as good as a King Tiger, though, and if you were to, let's say, go against a Panther, my biggest note would be the fact that its gun is good, but it's more of a high explosive than it is penetration.
Yeah. Now, if you're wondering why I just put that there, to show you the range of this thing, it has incredible range. This is a KV-2. Essentially, it's a shot of a
It's a
howitzer.
mobile refrigerator launcher.
Pretty much. It fires a howitzer shot from its gun, not the gradient's armor, but it's great for sniping.
It can stop
enemy immobile armor.
It murders infantry. If you want to hold a point, park this behind a building that's maybe destroyed, and then it will just destroy. Like Liam Forest, if you're in that center area, park this behind the building and a wreck. The big note, however, with the KV-2 is the fact that, yes, it does have a big gun, but it can't penetrate. It can't really do that much against, let's say, a Panther or something of that nature. It has great range, and it also has a slow fire rate, so if the Panther or tanks are on a move or infantry's on the move, it will take a while for the shot to land.
Look at that shot, by the way, people. That's insane how far it fires, but it's very powerful. You have to keep it alive, though. You have to make sure it's behind your lines. But it can take a beating and dish out one incredible one. The same thing with the IS-152. This one, however, you can switch it to armor-piercing rounds. However, this one can turret. This one cannot. It's like the Su-85, where it's you have to turn the whole tank.
It doesn't actually have that, AP round.
Yeah. So again,
you have load high explosive or load anti-tank. That's the problem with it. If you're facing two at the same time, you have to choose. And my note would be, it really just depends on whatever you're facing. Like if you have more infantry, go to high explosive, unless you have no AT, in which case keep it on the AT. Rounds.
But also, no, this thing does not have focus sight. They got rid of it. So I'm sorry, I don't know why it's showing it. They eventually did. They nerfed that along with the Elephant. So you need other recon as sight. So it was nerfed in that capacity, but it's still incredibly powerful with its main gun.
Indeed.
But the other thing we have to show is the artillery guns. Now, of course, I prepared myself.
Oh God.
And these are howitzers. And these are B4s. B4s are great for single shots and close-range artillery, while these howitzers are great for long range and will devastate buildings, emplacements, etc. Well, these pretty much B4s are great for, like, if enemy charges with armor, stuff like that, just hit them, and it will just, like, disorganize them.
The major note, the difference is, a B4 is if you want to do a lot of damage fast, it can do that. But the main problem is, the main problem with the B4 is that you need to make sure it lands. It's basically like you put all of your luck into one shot, and it can take out more than half of the health of a King Tiger. It can basically kill a Panzer IV, but it really just depends on your luck, basically, and if it's ranked up or not. Other artillery, though, all it needs is one. It just saturates an area like so.
Now I'll show you the B4 shots. I'm firing the B4 shots right now.
You'll know the difference.
Yeah, you can see these are the howitzer shots.
That's the B4.
The B4 is the big one, and it's strong enough that it can kill like Panthers, Tigers if they're weakened, or it can easily kill like a Panzer IV.
Yeah, my poor airfield.
Yeah, your poor thing.
Oh,
I also have no idea why they self-destruct things there, but
it's not normal.
Yeah, that's not normal either.
You're
But I'm
destroying my
using a
building.
mod. You can check the Steam workshop for these mods, and pretty much to use them. But overall, that's the Soviets. Like I said, they're more of a supportive function. They're not really designed for really a great assault force, but they can be because of their numbers. They sacrifice a lot, like T-34s, because they lack the firepower. But what they get for is numbers. That's the big thing with them.
And an easy way to replenish, because most of their units are cheaper.
Yes.
Because let's say Su-85 is a lot cheaper than buying a Panther.
Yes.
It's a lot cheaper than buying even a Panzer IV.
No, you're right. So anyway, I think that's about it. I think we showed off, and again, these are the 5 buildings I was talking about, if you want to detail. These 2 things are just part of the mod. Sorry about that. And one thing, you can upgrade your base with medic troops. That'll heal your infantry.
That is nice.
Yeah, so that's a nice thing about the Soviets. But overall, yeah, that's pretty much everything. Dealing with units. Doctrines, nothing has changed really with Doctrines. And they haven't really updated the Soviets, so I don't want to go over that. But overall, yeah, the Soviets are great supportive. They're really good they have a nice variety of doctrines to choose from.
And they are great on the attack.
With those doctrines.
Yes.
But they're also, the Su-85s are also great for like defensive purposes.
Yes. Good defensive armor, great offensive infantry.
Yeah. But in any case, that's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching this Redux version of how to play as the Soviets, at least for, units and stuff. And, yeah, you check back on the old video if you want to see doctrine, like, which doctrines you should pick. But otherwise, this is Greyshot117.
And Greyshot151 here.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time, guys.